So, I am not going to lie to y'all, I was not watching the Montreal Canadiens LA Kings game from yesterday. Part of that is because I was sick, and also part of that is because the Canucks were playing off against the Stanley Cup champions in the same time frame. Also, the Wings were playing a game too, so it was kind of a mess, and I, personally, just getting out of bed super slow, super groggy, not really able to talk. It was not really the best formula for me to go out there and pay attention zippy-zappy-zoo to 3 different hockey games at the same time. I had to focus on my Canucks, baby. But yesterday, the Habs did lose to the LA Kings in a 4-1 fashion. Lane Hutson had 30-plus minutes of time on ice per game. But other than that, I mean, there wasn't really anything else that you could be excited for from this game. I guess the Justin Barron goal bears some optimism, but still, the Habs lost 4-1, it wasn't really the best showcase, and I think Habs fans are going to want to have that short-term memory. Keep looking ahead to the future, don't really care too much about the past. Anyways, I didn't want to talk about the LA game in this video because of course I didn't watch it. Instead, what I wanted to do was go over some comments made by a recent Laval Rocket and former Montreal Canadien, Alex Barre-Boulet. Because, as we had talked about throughout the preseason, Barre-Boulet was one of these guys that found himself fighting for a spot on the Montreal Canadiens. I thought he had really strong chemistry with Oliver Kapanen and Emil Heineman on that third line. There were some games where they just absolutely came alive as a trio and started producing points. Barre-Boulet ended up making the team as a result, but all preseason results be damned, Alex Barre-Boulet in the 2 games he had in the regular season had 0 points in 2 games. He had about 10 minutes of time on ice per game in both the Maple Leafs and Bruins contests, but eventually got sent down shortly after, which wasn't really too surprising when you consider there were other guys just kind of floating around in Montreal too, not in the farm team, but in Montreal specifically. Michael Pezzetta has yet to play a game. There are still other guys that you could rotate around, and the fact that Heineman and Kapanen made the team as well pretty much forced Kent Hughes' hand into making some cuts. Josh Waugh was an early cut, Barre-Boulet was a cut a little bit after the season began, and he got sent down on waivers a few days ago. In particular, I remember this because he was sent down at the same day as Ville Husso from the Red Wings, but long story short, Alex Barre-Boulet cleared waivers and now he is in Laval. He has yet to suit up for a game with the Rocket at the time of recording this audio, but I wanted to go over some comments he had made in regards to the entire waiver process. Now, I wanted to expand on Barre-Boulet and the comments he had recently made. This was in the Laval Rocket locker room. I wanted to leave a link in the description of this article by Elias Artyom. The title says this: Alex Barre-Boulet would have liked to leave the Canadiens and be claimed by another NHL team. That's a really extreme title, but bear with me here. The article opens up by talking about how the Habs sent Barre-Boulet down on waivers, and fortunately for the organization, nobody claimed him and he was able to join their AHL team. With his experience, he will be able to help Laval's young squad in their quest for a playoff spot. The disappointment seems significant for the 27-year-old. Facing journalists waiting for him in the Rockets' locker room, he didn't hesitate to state that he sees himself as an NHL player and not an AHL one. Now, this article commits the grave sin of not actually linking the video interview that it's citing. It just says, oh, here's an interview he did with the Laval Rocket media guys, but there isn't really a link anywhere. And I couldn't find this personally myself, so I'm actually taking a bit of a risk by talking about these comments here. Either this entire article is fabricated and Barre-Boulet did not say this, or the article writer just did not bother to leave a link to the interview itself in the body of this article. Both things are wrong, but I'd probably say that the first one is more wrong. I'm going to assume, though, that this is real, and these comments did come from a video segmented interview. If anybody wants to go out there and find it, please feel free to let me know in the description. But this is what Barre-Boulet said in regards to his waiver wire process. I probably knew I wouldn't be claimed. I was keeping an eye on it, and I would have liked to get another chance in the NHL. But now I'm here, and I'll do everything I can to get back with the Canadiens. As the seasoned veteran he is, having been demoted to the AHL multiple times throughout his career, Barre-Boulet understands the situation well. He'll do everything he could be to be a good teammate in Laval, while proving to the team's management that he has NHL caliber potential. The season had barely started, but it's part of the game. Up top, they have young guys who need to play and gain experience, and I understand the decision. I knew there would be a rotation. There's no point in having 21 or 22-year-olds sitting in the stands not playing. I was disappointed, but I understood. Essentially, what Barre-Boulet is saying here is because the Canadiens have Heineman, because they have Catton, because they have these guys that are younger rotating around in the forward core, it makes sense to give them reps and to actually play them in the NHL. It would be kind of useless to have these guys just chilling, not doing any developing, not playing any hockey either in the NHL or the AHL, and just sitting in the press box. So it seems like Barre-Boulet, who himself is 27 years old, so he's definitely not too young in that same range anymore, he's the odd man out. Like, if there has to be somebody to get sent down to move open roster spots for these other younger dudes, it would be him. Good understanding, seems like he knows how the system works. Rocket head coach Pascal Vincent also had great things to say about Alex Barre-Boulet. This was the first time I spoke with him, and he has an exemplary attitude. His goal is to return to the Canadiens, and not to give them a choice but to call him back. He's 27 years old. He's a man, not a child. He understands the situation, and so far it's short and sweet, but I'm impressed. This is where you talk about the future. He will be placed on a line with Brandon Gignac and Josh Waugh, which is going to be cool to see. The Rocket play against the Syracuse Crunch later today, so we'll see how Barre-Boulet fares in that respect. But I did want to focus on those comments at the beginning where he said, yeah, I was keeping an eye on the waiver wire. I would have liked to get a chance in the NHL, but now I'm here. Essentially saying that, hey, if it's not with the Canadiens, I would have loved to play in the NHL elsewhere. I was paying attention, I wanted to see if I could get claimed, I wanted to leave, I wanted to get another NHL shot. It's just unfortunate for Barre-Boulet that that entire thing did not transpire. And I don't know if the title of this article is necessarily telling the story in the right way here. Barre-Boulet wants to leave the Canadiens. Not necessarily that. I mean, it's more so he wants to play in the NHL, which I guess means that he would have wanted to leave the Canadiens, but him saying that he's still dedicated and wanting to be a part of the Habs organization and force Kent Hughes' hand into giving him an NHL spot, that's ambitious, and you can't help but respect that out of the guy who has worked so hard from the QMJHL as an undrafted guy to inevitably being an AHL stud, which he was for multiple years. He was a Syracuse Crunch superstar from 2020 to 2024, pretty much, and now he has a chance to do that all over again with the Laval Rocket instead. We'll see whether or not the Montreal Canadiens find themselves a way to call Barre-Boulet back up, whether or not he's actually worth it. I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section as well. Do you think Barre-Boulet has what it takes to be an 82 NHL game guy? I mean, quite literally, he can't really do that anymore since the team has already played a few games without him in the lineup, but in regards to his talent, in regards to what he's capable of doing, do you think he has it in him to be so reliable that the Habs and Marty St. Louis have no choice but to put him in their Canadiens lineup every game? Is it possible? Why or why not? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as well. Let me know your thoughts as to how much you think Barre-Boulet is going to be able to produce with the Laval Rocket. And if it comes down to this, these guys are both producing well. Let's say it's Barre-Boulet and Josh Waugh. Both of these guys are point per game guys with Laval. Who gets the call up first? Is it entirely position dependent? Oh, Jake Evans versus Brendan Gallagher is out in Montreal. They need somebody to get called up. Who is the guy? Hypothetically speaking, of course, we wish no ill will nor injuries to anybody else. But for now, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.